Well, I want to thank you for joining me today on Real Feel Insights. Thank you.
Sure.
I'm excited to see where this one goes because it could go down many, many avenues, to be truthful.
Yeah.
Some funny things, I'm sure, but then there will be some things that maybe are a little bit on the darker side, being in the occupation that you've been in. So tell me a little bit about you. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in eastern Nebraska, a little town north of Omaha. Went to college in northwest Nebraska. Went 2 years, got kicked out. Went back to work at the grocery store.
Well, come on now. I have to ask. What was it? You set it up, so I have to ask, would you get kicked out for grades or extracurricular activities?
They kind of got tired of me living in the dorms and not going to school.
Well, that's probably a good reason.
I went to college in a part of the state that is, Nebraska is a really cool state. It's very diverse from east to west. The eastern part of the state has a lot of deciduous forests and rolly hills and the Missouri River. And we grew up right on the Missouri River. And then you travel through Nebraska through the sand hills, which are probably my happy place on the planet. It's just beautiful in its own way. I've got a great picture of the Nebraska National Forest. That's what it says, McKelvey National Forest. And there's not a tree in sight.
Wow.
Because it's a grassland, but it's managed by the Forest Service, so it says National Forest, and the tallest thing is a fence post.
Wow.
Anyway, then where I went to college was the Pine Ridge part of the state, which is not really an extension of the Black Hills because it's not rock. It's like buttes and that kind of stuff. And so it's pine trees and trout streams and all the stuff I didn't have in eastern Nebraska.
Sure.
I discovered pitch and pinochle, and my GPA went from a 3.25 my first semester to a 0.67.
Oh.
And then they asked me to leave. I did go back. I did go back and finish because I found out you can't transfer with a 0.67 GPA.
No, why not? I just can't even imagine.
No, the University of Nebraska said you got to have a 2.0.
Okay.
I said I don't. I have a 0.67.
Sure, yeah. Well,
Yeah, so it took me 7 years to get a 4-year degree, but there was a little bit of a break.
Sure.
So.
Well, I don't think that's really abnormal. Truthfully.
No, and it honestly it was formative.
Sure.
I mean, for my what I had to do. I mean, it was expensive, and the parents weren't very happy about it. But in hindsight, it kind of, so it sent me back to the grocery store, which I worked at in high school, and was kind of an assistant manager. And I then went to work for a company that sold wholesale grocery stuff.
Oh, sure.
So I would go into grocery stores and we sold cookies and chips and gourmet food stuff. So they were just opening 4 new great big huge, at the time they were called Food for Less grocery stores. I mean, it's like a Cub.
Sure.
Or it was a big chain of grocery stores in Omaha. And I was going to get 4 of them as my route until they bought a different warehouse that had 90% of our product. So I was the last one hired, first one fired kind of deal. Yep. So I went running back to the grocery store, and he hired me back again, which was good for me. And then I just was, I had switched my majors that year before I got the boot from biology, a wildlife biology degree, to a business degree. I'd never taken a business class in my life, but I saw the knuckleheads that were getting business degrees, and I thought, how hard can this be?
Sure, yeah.
It was not my bag.
Sure, right.
So I went back.
But you tried it.
Yeah, because I thought that's what I had to do at 19, 20.
Right.
You have to have a degree.
Sure.
Well, I went back with my focus in biology, and then I picked up criminal justice. I'd always been interested in conservation officer work. So I was kind of going back and forth between, do I want to do research biology for a game and fish department, or do I want to do law enforcement? And as I got more deeply into the criminal justice part of it, I found that I really appealed to me. So came out with a minor in criminal justice, a bachelor's in biology with an emphasis in wildlife.
Well, look at you go now.
Yeah, it's pretty fancy. I wonder where that diploma is. It's someplace in my house.
Well, I think too, when we travel through life, and especially at that time, those are times, it's like when I go to graduation parties and, you know, we ask the graduate from high school, what are you going to do? What do you want to do? That's just like, I just think it's just such an overwhelming question to ask somebody like that. You might have an idea. I'm 50 and I think, well, what am I going to do when I grow up, or, you know, or what other options are available yet?
Right.
So I think that's just normal, trying to kind of figure out. And
Yeah, and I'd moved to Lincoln. I waited tables, met my future wife, had a party. That's a fun story. And then we ended up going back to school, and I finished my degree, got home, or, you know, got back to Eastern Nebraska, and
after you graduated.
I got my diploma and everything, and I thought, gosh, I want to do game warden, conservation officer work.
You always wanted to do that.
Yeah, kind of, and I can tell you how that came about in a minute, because that's a great story too. Because they're formative things, things that stick out, and so I got to applying for different law enforcement jobs just to try and get my foot in the door. And I applied for my local hometown PD was hiring. I actually got an offer from them, but at the same time I was going through the process with the Nebraska State Patrol, and I got hired with them, or a job offer for the patrol down there.
And not the local PD.
Well, I took the patrol offer.
Okay.
It was a little bit better deal. And went through their academy in Lincoln, and then got stationed in the western part of the state. Getting into the State Patrol Academy, there was 36 of us. We were at an old Air Force base in Lincoln. It was literal barracks, so we had bunk beds and rooms with like 12 of us in a room type of thing. And none of us know each other. We don't know anybody. We're thrust into this boot camp style.
For how long? How long is that?
Mine was 18 weeks.
Okay.
That's more now, but we're just thrust into it, and you're forced to know these guys. So you're starting to lay in bed at night in your little bunks, and you start telling stories about the process, because it's extensive. I mean, you have to go, and there's psychologicals and there's all these other things, and we start getting to that point where you have to write down. The patrol requires it. Every law you ever broke.
Oh.
What you did, if you ever got arrested, if you ever got anything.
Sure.
I had to put down that I made an illegal left turn between 3 and 4 o'clock coming out of the high school. That was my big claim to fame of criminal enterprise. We had guys that had like resisting arrest, you know, in the patrol academy.
Yeah.
Which that shouldn't be a disqualifier for anybody, because everybody can screw up when you're stupid, you know, young and whatever. But no, it was just interesting to sit and just talk about backgrounds, and I think that's important for me. It just is formative. It was part of who I was, and I got really good at cards in college.
Sure. Yeah. You know, that's a survival mechanism.
Because that's all I did. Hunt, fish,
and
play cards.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so you are in the academy for 18 weeks.
Yeah, 18 weeks, and then it was another 4 months in field training with another officer, and then I did 4.5 years on the interstate.
Did you know when you got into that 18 weeks into that academy, did you know that was the rate? You were happy?
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was a step, and it's funny because fast forward a little bit, with the DNR career, I became a background investigator, and one of the first things that they told us in background or investigator school was, believe them when they tell you something. Like if they say, I said, I really don't want to work for the State Patrol, I'd rather be a game warden. I told them that in my background for the patrol. No, and had they been paying attention, they probably wouldn't have hired me, because we wouldn't. Why would you want to hire somebody that tells you they want to go do something else?
Correct.
That's just not it. It was not a good idea on my part, to be honest.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
Of course, it's the best thing I'd ever want to do ever.
Yeah. I get it.
And then just find the better thing.
Right. But like you said, it was just another step.
Yeah, it got me the experience. So we were on the interstate, where one of our primary duties, I worked for the truck division. So we did commercial vehicle stuff, and a lot of it was commercial drug interdiction. Did a lot of drug stuff on the interstate. I got 100 pounds of marijuana right before I left.
Wow.
They all made fun of me because it was like the smallest big load that year.
Oh,
It was like,
okay, sure.
the canine guys would they called it puppy dope. That's just training dope. It's
Okay.
100 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the
God,
next
they're-
smallest was like 250 pounds.
They are brutal.
Oh, some of the loads they get out of the scales, I mean, there were thousands of pounds.
Wow.
So I mean,
Oh, sure, that's why. Okay.
yeah. So I mean, but still, it was kind of a bucket list thing. I wanted to get that load, and I did, and then we moved on. But had the largest heroin seizure in that truck that year. It was like 3 ounces, 98% pure
Wow.
black tar heroin. So that was kind of neat. It was a great experience. I wouldn't have exchanged it for anything.
Do you make a difference?
I don't know, maybe. I thought so. You know, you're introduced very quickly though to stuff normal people don't have to deal with, fatal car crashes and that kind of thing. You see some horrible things, but you have to kind of just.
Were you
At the
ready?
time.
Were you ready for that?
I thought so. I remember the first fatal I worked. I got called out at 2:00 in the morning. It was a little Ford Ranger pickup, southbound on a major highway. Northbound, empty cattle truck.
Oh,
The truck driver said he saw the guy. It seemed like it was almost intentional. They
okay.
collided on the northbound shoulder. The guy came all the way across
oh, sure.
both lanes to collide with him on the shoulder. And the whole thing burned up.
Wow.
The car, the truck, the semi,
Sure.
everything was
Okay.
a big molten mess. And I remember getting there and asking the fire department, I guess, did you get the guy out yet? And they're like, no, it's way too hot. And then you sort of look in there, and it's like one of those puzzles that you stare at, the dots, and then you see like a dolphin. Yeah, this wasn't a dolphin. This was like the top of the guy's head. And yeah, so you're like, huh. 3:00 in the morning, 4:00 in the morning, I get back home, then jump in bed with the wife, and I'm like, this was, I'm just
Right, yeah. You're
dumping it.
debriefing.
I'm dumping it. And it was like the next day, I'm like, she doesn't need to hear this. She works at a bank. That, that's not stuff normal people talk about.
Right.
And so it's kind of hard, and I think it's getting better the later I went into the career of recognizing that some of those things are they're traumatic things. And at the time, you just dealt with it. And you dealt with it a lot of the times with just humor. Disgusting, gross, dark humor.
Sure.
But that's how that's how
Some people process.
dudes and cops and guys and gals. I mean, you sit around and you're witnessing something that's horrific, and you don't know how to process it. And that's what I kind of worry about now. All the body cam stuff. Minnesota requires body cameras. Most of the time, they're good. But I worry that, especially with like getting sent to the riots in the Twin Cities. We didn't have body cameras at the time. They do now. You get 30 guys on a bus. Somebody forgets to shut their camera off. And I can tell you, we joked about things because you're processing this stuff. You're trying to.
Sure.
You're just trying to process it. It's going to sound inappropriate to Joe Schmo.
Sure.
It's going to, and that's gonna come back to bite some butt.
I
and
see what you're saying.
unfortunately, what that will do, I'm afraid, will just internalize it for all of them. They just won't talk for fear that they're going to be recorded.
Okay, so that's where you're going with the body camera. You it's great. It's great, but this is one aspect
Yeah,
that it's not because
I worry about it. I can see
okay,
it. I can
sure.
see it because I saw it at the riots.
Sure.
We joked about a lot of stuff.
Sure.
And it wasn't even. There was nothing racial. There was none of that.
No.
It wasn't about that.
Sure.
It was just about dealing with the situation.
Right.
And I'm afraid that that'll get captured. And in a Freedom of Information Act, they're going to come back and they're going to take a snippet. And they're not going to understand at all
Yep.
the context
Sure.
of how people process
In the law enforcement world that just witnessed.
really traumatic,
Some traumatic,
potentially traumatic
sure.
stuff. I mean, there were some nights down there that were, I tried to tell my wife, just don't turn the TV on. Don't watch. Because they're going to show you the worst of the worst on TV.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
And
To capture the audience.
yeah,
and-
the mostly peaceful protests with all the fires burning in the background.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
But
Yeah.
No, that's I kind of worry that body cameras are saving cops.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
saving
Yep.
from
Yes. Yeah.
allegations that are not true.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, because I've never ever looked at it from that perspective. And sometimes some of these perspectives need to be talked about. That's a, what did you call it? Like it's you worry about that's a potential hazard, and all you're doing is just debriefing amongst
Decompressing and debriefing.
Sure.
You're getting rid of. I can only imagine. And I would never equate combat in a war zone
Sure.
to. I mean, the closest we probably had was with the riots.
Sure.
But then again, there's still just rules of engagement that you can't just shoot the enemy in a riot. Obviously,
right.
we've got
Right.
a much different
Approach.
and different mission.
Sure. Right.
I mean, we're not. It isn't about that. It's about stopping a behavior and holding those accountable
Sure.
that
Right.
need to be
Yep.
held accountable.
Yeah.
So hopefully, in the future, people take a breath when they see something or they hear something about a cop doing something on camera. Take a second and put it all into context.
Right. Right.
That's going to be pretty important.
Yeah. How does that make you feel? Like so much talk is about the message that's being sent, the negative message that's being sent to law enforcement through the public. Not all, but some. How do I word that? Because I think that's a critical point that I want to ask you.
Well, I can tell you, if we're going to knock this out anyway, I'm on my way to the cities for the second riot, the Dante Wright thing where Kim Potter thought she had her taser and
yeah.
shot him. If you saw that whole video in context, it's horrific. She lost it. She absolutely, it was traumatic for her. In a normal situation, she'd have never been held accountable. I mean, it would never gone to the degree it was.
Sure.
Had she just shot him, she'd have been justified. They opened the trial with that. Yeah, she could have just shot him because her partner was hanging out the window and he's trying to drive away. And so, but that's not what they did. I'm on the way to the riots, and Walls puts out a tweet that says, another black man killed by the police. I'm like, that's so not what happened. Yes, at its most basic, that's what happened. But it's not. I never heard any police officer, and I worked in several states, both for Nebraska and Minnesota. I worked with federal officers. I worked with all kinds of people, and never once did I hear say, "God, we got to get that guy because he's insert minority." You know what I mean?
Right.
It just it never. I had lots of conversations with anglers that I'd check, Hispanic anglers, black anglers, and after the contact, whether it resulted in enforcement action or not, I'd have a conversation with them. I'd say, how did you feel when you saw me approaching? Because all we hear, and I have to blame some of this reaction to what you started this conversation with, was this constant drumbeat in the black community that the police want to kill you. So you've got a 21-year-old kid who is driving on a suspended license, who has some warrants. He's been told his entire life, the police want to, if you knew a bear was coming to kill you, what's going to be your reaction? You're going to be terrified.
Right.
And you're going to run, you're going to do whatever you can to get away, which is kind of, most of these police interactions that go badly, had the people just complied,
Sure.
everybody goes home. The cops go home, the people go home. But I think they've been told for so long, and it's still going on, the police want to kill you. The police want to kill black people. And it's not true.
Is that a generational cycle message that is sent down?
I don't know, because I don't live in that community. So I this is just what I suspect. And in talking with people that I've talked to, and everyone I've ever dealt with has been fine. Even the people that I've taken to jail, they're not necessarily bad people.
Right.
But we've got a society that sets up these rules, whether
Right.
it's,
Right.
Don't break into somebody's house or
Right.
don't fish without a license. You know what I mean? It's,
Right.
there's it got harder for me to do anything, knowing that all the stuff that went on in the cities, those guys didn't get even they lit a precinct on fire with cops inside.
Right.
And they didn't even get a no burn permit ticket. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And now I'm supposed to come back up here and care that some old guy speared a northern pike that's in a protected slot.
Right.
Knowing full well that if the people that we dealt with, especially out here, they understand the social contract. If a trooper writes you a ticket for speeding, you were speeding and you pay it.
Right.
The game warden writes you a ticket for over limit, whatever, you pay it.
You did it, right?
And you just that's kind of what we do.
Sure, right.
And
so, how long have you been in law enforcement? How long were you in law enforcement until you got into the game warden?
Well, I was 4.5 years with Nebraska State Patrol, and conservation officers in Minnesota are licensed peace officers.
Okay.
We had the same authority as a deputy or a trooper.
Sure.
I mean,
so you took this job.
Yeah, it's kind of a great story.
I want to hear it. I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
So Nebraska, we could do road checks.
Okay.
So we'd set up a road check. I was stationed in Sydney. The Cabela's headquarters was there. So there was a lot of hunting and fishing that went on. People going to Colorado and Wyoming would go through there and stop at the Cabela's. And we'd set up just south of the Cabela's on a little highway that went into Colorado.
When you say you set up, what do you mean?
A road check. We just set up signs and we stopped everybody coming through and checked license, registration, proof of insurance, seat belts, whatever. And most of it was, you can't do them in Minnesota, but we could do them there. And the court said it was fine. Nebraska's Supreme Court ruled that we couldn't set up a drug checkpoint. We used to have signs that said drug checkpoint ahead, and then we only stopped the people that got off of it. And then we stopped those people because they had the drugs.
Sign. Right.
But we didn't actually have a drug check ahead.
Sure.
And they said, you can't do that. You actually have to have the drug check. And still stop the people that get off before. Anyway, so we're set up there, and I come to pick up. The guy's pulling a trailer, four-wheeler, whatever. And his trailer lights had come unplugged. He said he'd made a kind of a sharp turn in the parking lot, and it just unplugged his trailer lights. So we documented every violation we came across, whether it was a ticket or a warning. So I just told him, I explained to him, I'm going to write you a warning for your trailer lights. And I had his driver's license and whatever, and filling it out. And the guy happened to be from Cook, Minnesota. And I said, where's Minnesota? Where's Cook, Minnesota? My family had a lake place down by Battle Lake for 2-3 generations. My great granddad built one of the first cabins on the lake.
Wow.
So that was I knew Battle Lake and the Boundary Waters because I'd gone up there as a scout as a 13-year-old.
So you were familiar with central Minnesota?
I knew the
lakes
country.
area,
Yeah.
Lake country.
But really we didn't venture much out of that. I said, where's Cook? And he said, well, it's kind of up by Ely. And I said, oh, okay, Boundary Waters. And just in the course of visiting with him, he was a forester from the DNR up there. And they were bow hunting in Colorado. And I said, do you have bears? He's like, well, yeah. I said, would you ever be interested in doing an exchange? I said, I'd love to take you guys antelope hunting with a bow. Because Nebraska, at the time, you could buy antelope tags over the counter. And I had a lot of connections in antelope country. And I said, but I'd like to come up and go bear hunting. And the guy was, he's like, that'd be kind of cool. I said, well, I already had his address because I'd written it down already.
You wrote the warning out already.
And so we exchanged address and phone numbers and whatever. And so that would have been whenever elk season is out there, end of August, first part of September. And I had tested for the Nebraska Game and Parks as a conservation officer.
So that was your dream. That was your drive. When you said to the academy, Patrol Academy in Nebraska, that you really wanted to be a conservation officer, you meant it. That was your vision, and that was your dream.
And the State Patrol was a stepping stone.
Okay,
it really was. It was it gained law enforcement experience. And so.
So you wrote the guy up?
Yeah, and so
and then
we got to talking about exchanging information. Well, I had tested for this Nebraska, didn't even get an interview. And, I'm already a state law enforcement officer for the state.
Right.
And didn't even get an interview. So I was ticked.
Yeah.
And And Nebraska just got beat by Texas that same day. So
You had a bad day.
it was not a good day. And so, gosh, what weird what you remember, right? Mm-hmm. So I called the guy and asked if he could give me some information on being a conservation officer in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Well, he put me in contact with another guy. It was a lieutenant with the enforcement division up out of Cook. Mm-hmm. And he put me in contact with Fort Ripley, which is where our training academy is.
Yeah.
And I talked to the guy there, and they had just finished the hiring process for that time.
Okay.
And had just started, would have been academy like 4. They just started that. He said, we're going to probably test again in February. So would have been February of 98.
So that was probably what, like September, August,
Of
September?
97 when I
Sure.
started getting information.
Okay,
Well,
yeah.
they sent me some information, and I'm looking at the starting pay versus what I was making in Nebraska, and I'm like, holy crap, this is like exponentially more
Sure, yeah.
than
Very
Nebraska.
appetizing.
Very. And so we didn't make anything. I think my check at that time was, I'm dodging traffic on the interstate for $11 an hour. Maybe,
Okay, yeah,
At the end of the day, deposited in my account, we got paid once a month. It was $1,500.
Wow.
And that was...
And we're not talking 1960 something,
No,
70
this
something.
was 95.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
And honestly, it was a good job in Western
Sure,
Nebraska.
sure.
But, so I put my application in and flew out of Denver 4 times up to Minneapolis and went through that whole process. And in December of 98, I got the offer, or got it in like October, didn't start till December. Moved the wife and dog and infant son.
And she was happy. She was fine
She's
with it.
Sure.
Okay,
she,
all right.
She did it.
Yeah.
She's been
yeah.
happy. It's been a good move.
Okay.
So my folks had just actually bought a different new year-round cabin on the same lake that I spent my summers at.
Sure.
And so,
So it wasn't that you were like moving into like some territory that you knew nothing about.
she didn't know anything about it.
She had never been up.
We came
your
up in July.
Okay. But prior
during
to
that, no, she'd never spent any time.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
So now I started early December of 98 at our academy. So I take off for 12 weeks of academy training and 18 weeks of field training.
Wow. Yeah.
And I'm leaving a dog, a wife, and an infant in a cab. It was like The Shining. I dumped her off into that mountain thing and
You were gone.
gone. She didn't know
Wow,
anybody.
what a woman. You got a heck of a
She got to the grocery store, was able to find the grocery store, but couldn't find her way back to the cabin with an infant.
Okay.
Snow removal.
Sure.
Didn't think about stuff
Right,
like that. We didn't know
right.
anybody.
Wow.
But it was fun.
Wow.
It worked out, and it was.
Well, yeah, but I mean, nonetheless, that was a
That was 1,100 miles.
yeah.
Wow,
what a time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it was good. It was a good move.
So that was in 98.
Yeah.
And you have been, so then you got the job and how long were you in that location?
So my first station was Central Minnesota, and was down there for about a year, and then moved up to where we were.
Okay.
And then have been here ever since.
Okay.
So.
Were you happy when you made the move?
Oh yeah.
Did you
100%.
feel? I mean, 1,100 miles.
Yeah.
And taking that job. I mean.
And it was a different time. I mean, it was what I wanted to do, and financially it was great for us. It's been a great move. I don't regret any of it. I mean,
Well, you've been. I mean, what, 20 years? 25?
I did 29 years to the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
29 years
I started the
to the day.
State Patrol Academy July 5th
Wow.
of 94 and retired July 5th of 23.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, literally to the day.
Wow.
Everybody says,
That's kinda cool.
You could have gone one more year and been 30. I'm like, no. No, this was.
Tell
this
me
was
about
it.
the changes through those years.
Oh, gosh. So, a lot. We got more and more authority. I hate to use the word authority, but when we originally started, we couldn't do like DWI stops in a motor vehicle. We could do ATV, boat, snowmobile. It's the same thing, but in a car or, you know, so, so literally if we saw working shiners and the guy's impaired, we had to call somebody to do the DWI part of the, you know, we handled all the shining stuff. But, and that's gotten better. I mean, that honestly is the way it should be. I always felt guilty if I had to call a deputy, if I have to.
A lot of times, taking up more manpower.
Well, and I didn't have, you know, we drove pickup trucks. You know, they weren't crew cabs. They were just super extra cab. So it had a back seat, but it's full of stuff. I mean, we carried so much stuff. And typically, if I had to arrest somebody, they'd get thrown in the passenger seat, and I'd buckle them in, and we'd go to jail. A lot of times, if I had a partner or if I had a rookie, we didn't have a space for them. I'd had to call a deputy. Or if I had 2 prisoners, I had to call somebody else. And that was kind of unnerving. But I mean, I had a great relationship with all the county guys and state patrol.
Just to be interactive and
well, especially for our line of work. In the lakes area, there's not a straight road in the county. And the deputies, the county might only have 3 or 4 guys on. And I had a big county. And a lot of times I'd be the closest. You know, a domestic or, you know, any of those types of situations. So I would let them know I'll be there.
Well, and you had the background.
And it was fine. And it was, I think, appreciated by the deputy that if I showed up when they were by themselves.
Well, I mean, support.
It's just that.
I always think about, like, with a conservation officer, I mean, typically you're dealing with weapons, you know, and usually anybody that's, you know, in sportsmen, they're very acclimated to the weapons. You know, I use that word weapons, but, you know, sometimes that can scare somebody, but what other, you know, rifles, shotguns, handguns, that can be a little bit intimidating when you have to approach somebody in certain... I mean, you have to have your game on.
They all do. They all have... Fishermen have knives. You know. I think the worst part for a CO is complacency. You're so used to seeing guns, you don't take it as a threat. It's just another. Which is hard to get some of the newer officers that we would train. Our academy is really, really well done. They do a lot of really good scenario-based training and get people used to that. I had guns pointed at me unintentionally more than normal people ever do. And you just have to remind people of their gun safety laws. You know?
Well, and I suppose, too, like, you know, people get nervous. You know, even if they're law-abiding and they're not doing anything. I mean, that uniform, I don't care if it's, you know, conservation officer or state patrol or anything, that uniform, it just kind of makes you get nervous, so you might do some things that...
and that, you know, and that's honestly that's part of that. That's why I tried to have a good appearance because it is a use of force on the
situation.
It's not using force, but it's just if you look put together, they're going to think you're put together. And I tried to stress that with the and maybe that was the state patrol training. I mean, because they really pushed that.
That was what you learned. And
it made sense. It was logical. So I remember I checked a guy deer hunting one time, and I knew he didn't know I was standing behind him. He was at the edge of a field, a big rock pile, and he's just kind of watching this field. And I walked up right behind him, and I knew I was going to scare the heck out of him. And so I'm literally thinking to myself, well, how do I even
step on a stick or something? Excuse me.
Because I didn't want him to whip around. You know,
No,
it's one of those. It's just fun. It was fun.
There has to be one funny story that stands out, like that was just like it's just funny, just something funny that cracked you up right at that moment. Somewhere along the line.
There's so many.
There's so many.
There was.
That's so good to hear.
There are 2. I'll tell 2.
Okay, I want to hear it.
So I rolled into this deer camp one time, and it was kind of drizzly, and it was kind of raining, and everybody was sort of just milling about the fire. And I could see the one guy's got blood on his pants, so I knew somebody had a deer. So I'm
Sure.
just checking licenses, and there were no deer in camp. And I just pointed to the guy's jeans and said, "Oh, you must have had some luck."
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Yeah, I haven't tagged it yet." I said, "Well," I go, "Where's the deer?" "Yeah, it's just down here, just a couple hundred yards behind."
Sure.
I said, "Well, let's go take a look."
Sure.
So we go walking, and he's just walking really slow. And I knew that something was bugging him, and I'm like, he goes, "Okay, before we get there, I gotta tell you this."
Okay.
I'm like, "All right." He said, "Every year I get made fun of because I shoot the smallest deer every year."
And he's just dead serious.
Yeah,
And you
he's-
you got other things, I'm sure, because I'm thinking, like, what
Yeah,
is he taking you to?
I'm like, am I going to find multiple deer?
Right,
Am I going to find? What am I going to find?
Right.
And he's
And
like,
he's just embarrassed.
he's like, "I just got to explain this before we get there. Every year I shoot the smallest deer. I have to pay $100 for shooting the smallest
Oh my
deer."
God! On top of it.
And so this year I wasn't going to shoot. And he shot this little forkhorn buck.
Sure.
But had taken the antlers off of one of those foam deer targets and duct taped it so it had this big fake antlers duct taped to his little skinny.
Tiny deer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like, "That's pretty funny. Why don't we go ahead and validate tag and call it a day?"
Yeah.
I thought it was
That
hilarious.
is hilarious.
So.
Yeah. Well, that's just good fun. Deer
Right.
camp fun.
And yes, and he'll remember it forever.
Right. Yeah.
Every time he shoots a deer, he'll think about notching his tag now
Right.
because
Yeah.
this is what happened
Right.
the time
Yeah.
I think the other good one was I'd gotten a call one day, Sunday morning, early, and it was the old superintendent of the schools, and she's just beside herself, angry. Wants me to meet her at the elementary school. I said, "Okay." I suit up and I run into town, and here hanging off the goalpost, the practice field, is a deer.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody hung up on the goalpost.
Oh, that's terrible.
And I'm going,
No.
it's all busted up. It was obviously a roadkill.
Sure,
and,
right.
and it was spring. It was
Sure.
about this time
Right,
of year.
Right.
And she's beside herself, man.
Yeah,
She's
she's upset.
absolutely,
Yeah, okay,
we
I
got
can-
trespassing, we got all this, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I cut the deer down. I took pictures and whatever, and I threw it in the back of the truck. And I talked to the vice principal then at the time. I said, "Look, school's going to start at 8:20 Monday. The whole school by noon is going to know who did it, and by Tuesday, I'll know."
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't even that. It was about noon on Monday. I got a phone call.
Sure. Yeah.
Guys, "I got 3 names for you." Awesome. One of which was my neighbor. So I go rolling into the yard. And the young man's sitting there working on his pickup, and he sees me, and he's kind of giving me that weird, "Oh no."
Oh, there's your sign.
Yeah. And so all I said was, "All I want to know is, where'd you guys get the deer?" And he just went, "Bleh," and we picked it up off the road. He just, I
Word
said, "Were
vomit.
these 2 kids with you?" "Yeah." "All right." So I got the
You got the story.
hardened criminals
Yeah.
that they are.
Oh.
And I thought, there really should be. She's not going to be happy at the school if something doesn't
Right,
happen. I mean,
right.
she's talking expulsion. And they're all on the
sure,
baseball team, and
sure.
they're all got playoffs.
Sure.
And I'm like, it's a prank. It's a prank. There really no harm, no foul. It was a roadkill deer. The only crime I probably had was, possess car kill deer without a permit.
Sure.
And so I went to the sheriff and I talked to him. I said, "Hey, this is what I got." I said, "Would your deputy," he had a sentence to serve deputy who helped, so when the prisoners had community service
Sure.
they had to do, he would take them out
Sure.
and do whatever. I said, "I got these 3 kids. They seem to like picking up roadkill. Would your sentence to serve deputy," say, had a big
Sure.
1-ton
Right.
super
Yeah.
cab truck,
Yeah.
would he take them for the day and
Yeah. Clean
8
up the
hours
roadside.
and pick
Yeah.
up the
Sure.
roadkill?
Wow.
He said, "Absolutely." So then I called their moms and parents and whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
First one I called was my neighbor. I said, "Here's what I got. This is what I'm thinking. There needs to be consequences because
Sure.
there needs to be consequences.
right.
But they don't need a criminal record.
Right.
They don't need a ticket. They don't
Right.
need kicked out of school."
Right.
I worked it out with the school. They were happy with it. The sheriff's department was happy with it. When Mom quit laughing for like 20 minutes, she's like, "Absolutely, he'll be there."
Okay.
So then the other parents agreed to
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they asked if they could do it the next weekend because they had baseball. I'm
Sure.
like, "Sure, I don't care."
Yeah.
So it was Memorial Day weekend that year. I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. That was actually a great situation you came up with. And you have to kind of I'm from the country. There's a lot of hunters and sportsmen in my family, but somebody that's not, that could be a little bit could be very that would be tough to see. So
Oh yeah, and it
Yeah.
got cut down before the grade schoolers got
Right,
there.
right.
It was a practice field.
right,
going.
right, yeah. So
Again, I didn't think it was necessary that
Sure.
they needed it, but there needed to be some
sure,
consequences.
yeah, yeah.
I get
yeah.
they were going to go do it for 8 hours. I get a call about 6 hours. We've been up and down every road. We've picked up everything we could find. I think we're done. I said, all right, I'll meet you up at the wildlife management area and open the gate. And
Sure.
we drove. So I'm taking pictures of them dumping
Yeah,
up, pulling all
yeah,
this stuff
yeah,
out.
Yeah.
And I got a graduation announcement then from one of them.
Aw.
And so I included in his
Yep.
card a blown up picture of them pulling that stuff out of the car or the truck.
Sometimes we make decisions, and especially at that age, it's maybe not the smartest thing to do, but it wasn't hurting anybody. It wasn't.
No, and really
Yeah.
it wasn't. I mean,
Right.
you went on school grounds in the middle of the night,
Sure.
hung a dead animal off the goalpost.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
You don't need
Right.
you don't need
Yeah,
to go to
think-
jail for
yeah,
it.
Right, yeah. But maybe you can think a little bit sometimes.
Right.
But, I mean, thank goodness you were there to kind of, as we, teenagers and young kids, just some bumper cars, to kind of say, hey, that maybe wasn't a good choice.
And what's great with my line of work is I become, as the CO for my particular station, I'm it. You have a car accident, a deputy shows up. It's a deputy. It's a brown uniform, it's a deputy.
Right.
You may or may not ever know their
Sure,
name or
right,
remember it.
Right.
The same thing with state patrol. It's a maroon uniform,
Sure.
pulls you over.
Right, right.
It's a trooper.
Right.
I could go to coffee every once a week.
Sure.
And sit at a round table in uniform with the locals, just whoever.
Yeah.
And I could ask, who's a trooper in the area? Any
Sure.
trooper?
Right.
They couldn't name any of them. Nobody could name them.
Sure.
They could name the sheriff.
Sure. Right.
Because that's the sheriff.
Right.
But they may or may not be able to come up with a deputy, but all of them, and some of these guys were 75 years old. They could name every conservation officer
Sure.
going back to their
Wow.
12-year-old when
Yeah.
they were 12 taking firearm safety
Sure. Yeah.
55 years ago.
Yeah. Good rapport.
And it
Good
is
connection.
the community-based policing at its best. At its, I had people show up at my house with ducks they couldn't identify.
Oh, sure.
What's this?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you probably should have known before you shot
Right.
it.
Right. Yeah.
Luckily, you can have 6 of those.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
they didn't know.
But your approachability.
Yeah.
That's what message that sends to me, that you were approachable, that
And we
you
tr-
were
and-
safe.
And I got to credit one of my first sergeants in the patrol in Nebraska. 2 greatest pieces of advice I ever had as a new officer was, don't have just cop friends. Got to have friends that are normal.
Okay.
And
I got it.
don't have just cop
Sure.
friends.
Yeah.
And every day at 9 o'clock was coffee. We had a coffee break.
Okay.
And one of the places we'd go for coffee was this tiny little bakery that had like 3 booths in it and coffee on the wall. So you had it just was pots.
Sure.
You poured your
yeah.
own.
Yep. Oh,
Well, it was off the interstate, so Highway 30 parallel.
in Nebraska.
Yeah, I-80. And a lot of people traveling. It's
Sure.
amazing how many people don't like the interstate. They'll come
Oh,
down.
Sure. Yeah.
And so lots of times we'd run into people that were from Ohio or Pennsylvania or
Traveling through.
Washington. And one of the rules at this little coffee shop was that if you got up to get coffee, you had to fill everybody's cup.
Oh, sure.
So chances are you're traveling across country and you stop at this little coffee shop, you're going to get a Nebraska State Trooper filling your cup.
Coffee.
And that was important to him. That showed you're human. You're not just
Right. Right.
dorky badge guy. And so that carried with me. And I've always tried to stop in local cafes. And I
Just
got to
having
know.
that connection.
Yeah. What a better place for somebody to come up and ask me questions. I mean, in Minnesota especially, and I'm guessing it's the same in other states, that whenever you think of whether it's the DNR or the game and parks or the game fishing, whatever they have in other
Yeah.
states, it's always the first thing people think of are the wardens or conservation officers.
Sure.
We are the DNR in most people's mind. I'd go work the state fair, and you'd see these people, you could see them, and they beeline right for the
Oh,
CO
sure.
to ask a question about the state park or
Oh,
about
sure.
forestry.
Sure.
And you're like, here's the forester.
Right.
Yeah, That's
yeah.
but they wanted to talk to us.
Sure.
Which was fine. I liked that. I liked that
Sure, the
approachability.
interaction.
And to be able to sit in a cafe and just
Yep.
grab, I mean, I had all kinds of people talking, asking questions or giving me really good information about a possible something going on.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I was going to say it can work both ways. I mean, you want to have that connection so that you can know some things, but
Yeah.
also at the same time, you do want people to feel safe and that you're approachable and
Right.
not stuffy.
Yeah, and we did. I mean, I did Lake Association annual meetings. I would give talks and every single one of them, I said, "You got a Lake Association directory? Put my name in it. Put my name in. Here's my number. You guys are going to know more about what's going on
Sure.
X
Right.
Lake than
Right.
anybody.
Right. Yeah.
And if you see somebody that's in the same spot 3 times a day, and you know the fish are biting,
Sure.
just drop
right.
me a line.
Right. Yeah.
I'll never rat you out. I'll
Right.
never.
Right. Yeah. Well, you have to have integrity and character
Yeah.
too. I mean, you can't be.
And it was just super easy for me to act dumb.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait
What?
a minute, you agreed to that too quickly. No, it just was. It was.
Sure.
It was.
Yeah.
But yeah, you needed that information because
Yeah.
I couldn't be. I had 100 lakes
Sure. Right.
to try and keep
Yeah,
track of.
Yeah. 10,000 lakes, the land of 10,000
Yeah.
lakes. Is there would you do it again?
Yes, 100%.
Would you recommend, like, let's say your children, your
I was
nephews,
kind of glad neither of
nieces?
them wanted to get into law enforcement.
Okay.
But I was getting out. It's been 2 years almost, and so I don't know. I think things are changing.
When you say changing, are you thinking changing maybe for the not so good?
No, better.
For the better?
Better.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, you said don't get political, but it's the politics have changed.
Sure.
Law enforcement is not. The defund the police movement was terrible.
Well, it's like, why do you go to work? I mean, if that's
Right.
what the community wants, defund the police, and you're here and you took an oath to protect and to serve,
Right.
and they're trying to defund you.
And especially when it's
mean-
all based on not truths. We'll call it lies, but I mean they just that whole it's a myth. And I'm not going to say there aren't bad cops.
Right.
And I hate that we always have to preface it with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the truth, though, too.
You always, but it's there are also bad priests and there's bad
Right.
teachers.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you just
I mean, the fact that you said that, I mean, you have an open mind as to
Oh, yeah, don't-
where people are going with or why they might be even thinking about that there is bad cops.
Sure.
Just like you said, there's bad priests, there's bad teachers, but, I mean, that's in every occupation
Right.
there is. So,
But it gets amplified for cops. I think that they operate under the premise that the 1% is the 99. When it's not. It's the opposite. I don't. I mean, and I can't even pretend to understand what a department like an Atlanta or a Minneapolis or
Sure.
those huge departments
Sure.
that deal with honestly stuff that I never had to deal with.
So just from a different perspective, when you're dealing with law enforcement too, let's just say you get pulled over for speeding. It's or DUI or I don't know. It's embarrassing for that to take place. And right away, our human nature perhaps might be like, well, they shouldn't have been there. Or what did they have to be looking for me for? You're going to get maybe a little bit defensive just simply because of embarrassment. And so, naturally, humans are going to, if you get called out and your wife says, you're late. Well, you might be like, well, yeah, I'm damn late, but I was visiting with a neighbor. So I'm sorry I'm late. But you're going to get a little bit defensive.
Right.
So it's just kind of human nature. So that might be a little bit too of, not the defund the police, but just because they might be a little bit embarrassed with their actions, they kind of get that little bitterness or a little bit of an anger towards not that particular patrol officer, but officers in general,
Sure.
just peace officers in general.
And I always tried to make sure that more often than not, and this is going to sound funny, but it happens to a lot of our guys, you hand them a ticket and they say thank you. It happens all the time.
Right.
And it's because in law enforcement, it's really easy to go up if you're dealing with somebody that's being unruly.
Oh, sure. Okay, I see what you're saying.
But it's really hard to come back down. Like you get combative or argumentative with somebody. It's hard to bring that back.
Correct.
So you've got to be mindful of you don't have to always go up.
Take it to a higher level, right?
And appreciating really in the big picture, what am I enforcing? Fish over limit.
Right.
And not that that's not important, because our resources are our
Absolutely.
resources.
Absolutely.
It's all part of it. And so I always, it worked out more often than not.
Sure. Right.
Now the guy that I wrote like 3 tickets to in 2 days.
Right.
He got
3 tickets in 2 days?
Yeah.
Yeah, now we've got some issues.
Yeah, he got a little owly.
Well, okay, yeah.
I arrested
We've got
him.
intention there. I mean, serious
Well, it was,
intention.
to be fair, it was not him specifically. It was his jet skis. So he had 2 at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, ripping around on a jet ski, which you have to stop an hour before sunset.
Oh,
so he's like,
sure.
These 2 guys, so they each got a ticket. And then the next day, different guy, same jet ski, is spraying the boat and everything down. So he got a ticket.
Sure.
And that guy was just not happy.
Sure, I get it.
I pay taxes. Yeah,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
so does everybody.
So does everybody. Do you find, okay, so, after Brad passed away, and I don't know the laws, honestly. Do you find that sometimes it's just simply, people just, they're meaning no harm, they didn't know,
Yeah.
truthfully, I mean, that is truthfully, I mean, and I would just say, if I was doing something and I didn't mean to be doing it, and I honestly, I'd take the ticket. I mean, I must have not followed the law, because there's a law that I didn't know about, and I wouldn't argue about it, but if it is, it is, and I just didn't know, that's the way it's going to be. But truthfully, I didn't know.
Right.
Some people don't know.
A lot of our stuff, I mean, when you get into, okay, let's take the recreational vehicle stuff out of it, because that always got kind of complicated. But just the hunting and fishing. If you're going to go hunting and fishing, then I would say this at every firearm safety class with the kids. I'm like, you understand that and they're kind of in that realm already, so they're already have been fishing, or they're looking forward to going deer hunting, so they're already kind of knowing the basics.
Right. Yeah.
I said, so if you do have a question, where are you going to go? What's your first
Sure.
avenue to look for the answer? And inevitably I'll say, call you. I'm like, well, you sure can, but
Maybe find another resource before you call me up on the
we print a
hotline.
regulation book every year.
Right.
For hunting and
right.
fishing.
Yeah.
And it's on your phone. It's on everything.
Sure.
It's easy to access that information if you've got a legit question.
Sure.
A lot of the times I'd have, especially the ATV stuff, because we're rather rural.
Sure.
And we're dealing with farm kids a lot of times.
Right.
They're running around illegally on an ATV.
Sure.
And a lot of the times I would just escort them home. Say,
Sure.
look, you can be on your private property. You can't
Sure.
be coming down the road.
Right.
I get it. You're just checking pivots.
Sure.
Or you're doing, you're farming.
Got to check the fence.
You're 13 years old.
Right, yep.
And
There's a cow,
yeah,
cattle out,
that's
calf
what you,
out or
and
something.
so I'm not going to tell them they can't. I can't have them on the road, especially if I'm there and see it.
Right.
I can't ignore it.
Right.
For fear that something bad happens at the next intersection and they get smoked by a grain truck or something.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that's the thing too, is, I have conversations with older, people, like, as we get older, we realize the consequences of some actions, that we thought was, that was funny 20 years ago. And I think the older you get, you look at things a little bit differently in the aspect of like, oh my God, somebody could get hurt. You just look at things a little bit differently. So when a law enforcement officer, especially with patrol, out on highway speeds, 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, and you see what speed can do, now you took that visual from whatever it was, and now you maybe applied it to like a county road, or a state highway. But you saw that firsthand, where I had never seen what speed can do. So
We had a lady in Nebraska on the interstate, cruise control set, 75 miles an hour. Went into a diabetic reaction, passed out
at cruise.
at cruise, went off the interstate on the median at a giant cement box culvert where the railroad tracks went under the interstate, and she hit that at 75 miles an hour. And so, yeah, that's kind of bad. That's not good. And so when I try to explain to these kids, I'd always talk about it at snowmobiles. Snowmobiles are crazy fast and crazy dangerous. The worst fatal I ever had on a snowmobile was 3 people were killed in one crash. 5 snowmobiles crashed into each other, and 3 were killed.
High rate of speed.
High rate of speed.
So you have witnessed speed and
Yeah.
what speed can do. So when you pull somebody over, law enforcement, for speeding, it might not be because, just that incident. It's because you can remember what could happen.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And like I said, even not just in law enforcement, as a grandma now, I look at the kids and I think, don't be doing that, or, you could get hurt. When my kids are like, Mom, you left us do that and 10 times worse.
Right.
Well, the older you get, you just realize the
Right.
potential dangers that could happen. It's not like I'm a helicopter grandma. It's just because I don't want them to get hurt, and and I know what could happen.
You grew up right in the back of pickups.
Oh, yeah. Right.
My seatbelt as a kid was my mom's arm.
Right.
Doing this. She still does this to me, by the way. She's 83.
Yeah. What's that going to help, Mom?
Yeah, I got you.
Thanks, Mom.
Well, we're safe now. But
It's a reaction.
But I talked to the kids in snowmobile safety. I said, there's always that one kid that's kind of loud and not really paying attention. I said, how fast can you run? What's the top speed? Can you run 15 miles an hour? Full speed. If you're running as fast as you can, are you going 15 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour? He's like, yeah, I could probably run that fast. Well, stand up, run head first into that cement wall as fast as you can.
Yeah.
He's like, no, that hurt. I said, okay. Is 15 miles an hour very fast on a snowmobile? No.
Sure.
It's pretty slow. And then we talk about inertia. And then I'm old enough to say Star Trek had inertia dampeners when they go to warp. And they all look at me, they just,
Yeah, that went, yeah.
what is wrong?
Yeah.
He's a nerd.
Yeah.
And I said, well, and I said, I guarantee you guys know what this is, because then I'll start with, if I say objects in motion tend to stay in motion, and usually they're 12, so they've heard this, laws of thermodynamics or whatever. And it's like, I said, okay, so if you're traveling in a car at 50 miles an hour, I said, Chevy and Ford and all these car companies design a car to crash, and then they work around that. It's built to crash and to slow you down in a crash. So your bumpers and your crumples and your steering wheel even collapses, and you have airbags that all slow you down before you hit something.
Sure.
What do you have on a snowmobile? What's your safety equipment on a snowmobile? A helmet? You're traveling 50 miles an hour and that snowmobile comes to an abrupt stop. How fast are you still going? 50 miles an hour. Until when? You hit the telephone pole, or you hit the snow, or you hit the
So just
handlebars.
explaining it.
Yeah, and then that kind of, and hopefully and I don't mean to scare kids, but
Right.
that's what happens. You're going 50 miles an hour also. And if your snowmobile comes to a complete stop like that, you don't. You're still going. So, yeah, we just talk about stuff like that, and I try to just hopefully educate and make them think about it.
Don't take the fun out of it. Just the education. I like that.
And we talk about why do we have the certain rules for snowmobiling, like trespass. A lot of our snowmobile trails up here are
sure.
going through private property.
Right.
And it's illegal to leave the trail. It becomes trespass.
Oh, okay.
Whether there's a sign there or not, you can't leave the trail. And I said, why do you suppose that is? I said, it really is a safety thing. Our snowmobile clubs do a heck of a good job maintaining the trails
Right.
and making sure they're free of as many obstacles as possible. I had a 15-year-old kid trespassing. He and his buddy were racing across the field, and it was a disked up cornfield, and it was really bumpy, so the kid came over onto an old
Sure.
It was an old homestead driveway. But the guy, the landowner, had put a cable gate across it so people couldn't drive in there. And we figured the kid was looking at his buddy, and the cable caught him under the chin, broke his neck instantly, and killed him. So trespassing's not. It isn't just about going on somebody else's property.
Right,
You know,
right,
it's to keep
right.
you from. Had they not been trespassing, that wouldn't have ever happened. So,
right.
and those decisions all have consequences. So you have to be careful.
Yeah, that one ended up being a fatal one.
Bad one. And then it affects everybody. Then it affects mom and dad, and it affects siblings and friends, and you know, you just don't want to have to deal with that.
Are you happy you're retired?
Yes.
You said that so fast.
Yes, I
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
I loved the job. I'm so glad. I never knew how hard it was on my wife to watch me walk out the door every day with body armor and a gun. It just was part of my uniform. I didn't even think about it. But she saw that, and I'd usually get about 2 miles from home, and she'd call. And it wasn't until just recently that she, I just had to make sure you're still okay. So you forget about those pressures. That,
The other thing, what about like raising children? Sometimes I think about, I think, ministers' kids have this, law enforcement kids have this, where the children have to kind of, live in the footsteps of their dad, or their mom, whoever it is that's in law enforcement. I can only imagine, this is why I'm glad I'm not a minister's wife or vice versa or in law enforcement, because, it's not that there's a higher standard to those children, but I can't even imagine there must have to be some sort that you had to feel through raising children. That you have to hold the law here to everybody else, but then your own children. Tell me about that. That has always been something I think about, and I feel.
Yeah, I got really lucky. I think both my kids they're very unique. They're very different. They're 5 years apart, which probably in hindsight we would have probably had them closer together, but it wasn't the way to be, or wasn't going to be at that time. But anyway, no, they're both very different.
Were you aware of that, raising children?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I always had it pictured. My oldest was very, very good at the building stuff and figuring out. I always figured he'd be the one inventing a homemade parachute.
Sure.
Convincing the younger one to jump off the roof of it.
Oh, sure.
Because the other one, he was fearless. He'd have done it.
Sure.
Here, put this on. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Is it going to work? I don't know. We're going to
You
try.
find out.
That's right. And so they were just both very, very much just different in that way. So.
Well, so you were fortunate. I just always think about that with like ministers' kids and law enforcement's kids. I don't look at it, but I'm thinking sometimes you have to, people are maybe watching you, in how it's not there, but it is there, that you're a minister's kid. You shouldn't be doing that, or you're out partying. Well, they're kids.
I think it's different now. I mean, my youngest is 22, and I can't even hardly get him to come for a beer. I'd meet him in town. I'm like, you want to meet for a beer? And they didn't. And I've been talking to other parents that have kids. I don't think it's the same. They weren't having keggers in the woods all summer long.
Sure, right.
I'm not naive to think that it didn't ever happen.
Right, yeah.
It just doesn't seem to be the same as it was in the 80s.
Sure. Well, the 80s, the cops would come and tell you to go home.
Yeah.
I don't think that can happen. I'm sure probably that there's like some really close relationships over the years that you have created. When you retired, you lose that daily connection.
That's honestly been the biggest thing I miss of all of it is just the partners and across the spectrum. I mean, cops. I'd stop in at local PD and visit with those guys. And the county had substations, and I'd visit with the deputies, and we'd share information because a lot of times, the same people they're dealing with are the same people I'm dealing with. I mean, we had the same clientele. But yeah, I miss that daily interaction and being kind of out of the loop now. You don't.
Sure.
My wife will say, "Geez, there's sirens." well, before I could turn the radio on
Right. Yeah.
and hear what it was, and,
Right,
see if there was
right,
something that
right.
I needed to
Sure.
do.
Yeah.
And now it's just sirens. And I don't know.
Welcome to our world. Just
Yeah,
the
normal
regular
people.
world.
I'll
Normal
see
people.
squads running down the highway, and
Sure.
I'll be like,
Yeah.
huh.
You got to get over and let them do their thing.
Yeah, and I'm like, can't get in line.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you miss that.
I do.
Sure.
And I do miss, it sounds corny, but there is that public service part. I miss dealing with some of the people.
Serving.
We talked about bad stuff, but there's a lot of good stuff.
The serving part.
Yeah.
Yeah. The public serving.
We'd gotten a call. I heard it go out over the radio that he was kind of a handicapped kid, 6 years old, 5 years old, and some foster care had gone missing. And it's December, it's cold.
Oof.
And the mom had fallen asleep, and he'd found his way outside. And now he's just gone. And usually in those situations, we find a kid hiding under the bed or in
Sure,
a closet or
right,
whatever. But
right.
he wasn't. They went through the whole house.
Nothing.
And so we all met up at the house and talking to the local cops and trying to make a plan. And the fire department's coming. We're going to start looking for stuff. So I was going to go across the street and look in the little garage that was right there. I was going to knock on the door and let the people know that I was going to look in there looking
Sure.
for this. So when I went up on the porch, I look over, and here's the kid laying face down in the snow, the big pile of snow tucked in behind there, and he's just laying there. So I scooped him up, ran him to the ambulance. We ran him to the hospital, and he was sort of awake, but he'd been out. And luckily, it was one of those days it was like 20, not
Sure.
40 below. And so we did, got him warmed up and got him to the hospital, and he made it. He was fine.
Wow.
So that's the kind of stuff that that are the memories that are.
You made a difference.
Yeah, it kinda
You saved a
did.
life.
And I was recognized for that by the department. I mean, we got it, which was great. And it's not why I always felt guilty. You felt guilty a little
Right,
bit,
right.
because anybody would have found him if
Right.
they'd have gone over there. They'd have found him.
Right.
I just happened to be the one that
Right.
went over there.
Right.
But
But you were the one.
I was, and it
But
was,
you were the
and
one.
scooped him up and ran him in.
And that you don't want to take that. You feel guilty, but at the same time, I mean, we're not talking. You saved, you saved a life.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
saved another human being. I mean, how
A really
what an
vulnerable kid, as a
opportunity.
little kid. So that was
What
kind
an
of cool. That is
opportunity.
cool.
Yeah. So you missed that part.
I missed
and-
that part.
Yep. So when you see the local cops pulled over and stuff, and they're chit chatting, they're just kind of, they have to have that connection. It's not like they're gossiping or just,
That was the first thing I learned in field training at the State Patrol in Nebraska.
Yeah.
I stopped with my FTO. We stopped for dinner
Sure.
with a bunch of other troopers.
Communicate.
And I've always wondered, I thought through growing, you'd see at Pizza Hut, there'd be the cops sitting over in the booth, and they're talking cop stuff, and they're, crimes. And
Sure.
No, they're talking about the waitress, or they're talking about,
Sure.
it's literally, it's what just people talk about.
Right.
But you don't ever think of that, because
Right.
you kind of,
Yep.
you think
yes.
it must be
Yeah.
serious stuff.
Right. Right. No.
We're idiots. All
No,
the
yeah.
cops are just-
You're just regular people that have to put on that uniform and take that oath to protect and
Yeah.
to serve. But you're just regular people. After you
100%.
take that off, you put on your shorts, your tennis shoes, you grill, you have a beer.
Yep.
Just regular people that have to deal with very critical situations
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. And you never know. You might think that in my whole career, I promised my wife when I first started that I would wear my body armor every day.
Okay.
And it got hot, and it got uncomfortable, and it was miserable. It got better over the years.
Sure.
But in that time, I think maybe 5 times I put a uniform on without body armor. And inevitably, something happened. I was just going to run to town for something one day. And halfway to town, the county put out a call that they had an armed guy barricaded in a trailer, just shot somebody. And I'm like, they're looking for help. And I'm like, God dang it.
Yeah, no, you don't have
I
it
don't
on.
have
Sure.
But I went, and just stand behind the biggest guy, I guess.
You take it. You go first. we'll debrief in the
Yeah.
in the restaurant parking lot over there after
I'll be
you take the bullet.
blocking the road over here. So no, and
But
it's
that's
just,
the fun stuff. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
if you make it through, if you take off your
and I still do. I'll stop. I'll see a troop
Sure.
pulled over
Yeah,
and
yeah.
watching traffic,
Well,
and I'll
you
pull in.
know.
And, yeah.
Yeah, you still know
And so
a
I'll
lot of
visit with
them.
them and just to
Right.
see how it's going. And
Yeah.
they're all jealous.
Yeah, and then I was just gonna say, they're all like, yeah, see
Yeah,
see
2
ya.
more years,
Have
2 more
fun.
years. All right. You'll hate it. I'd keep working.
Yeah. Well, I am just, I'm so grateful that you came on board here.
Oh, I love this. This is great. Thank
These
you.
are some conversations that are difficult to have, very intricate conversations, because there's so many different, different avenues and approaches at different positions and stances that we talked about. So it is very difficult to have these conversations. I appreciate it that you were very honest. You were just very
Yeah.
real. And you loved your job.
I did.
It very evident that you loved your job. And thank you very
You bet.
much. Yeah.